We're completing this series on musical perception, and by now you should know recognizing a chord is kind of useless. But there is one exception. It's an A major, by the way.
I'm here to help you create great music. I'm not talking about the right chord for that ending scene. No, I'm talking about Stravinsky level type of music.
I care about colors, not those which trap you.
Alright, today is the follow-up of the videos on bitonalism and how you can use it to develop your inner ear and your musical perception. I'm gonna touch one of the most common subjects, which are the detection of things, scales, intervals, and chords. Let me say this. If you're a student, I understand. It's very common for you, you are requested to know these things. Oh, this is a tritone. This is a major 7. This is a dominant chord with 9, 11 sharp, and 13. But I want to tell you this. If you are a composer and you've been following me, you know by now that my purpose here is to actually open your mind about the traditional way to develop musical perception. I'm a strong advocate of developing your vocal skills, not as in singing beautifully, but being virtuoso in terms of doing very complex things with your own voice, because that will force your inner ear to develop. It's a one-to-one thing. If you develop your vocal skills in that regard, your inner ear will develop together. So today I want to show you what are the cases that you have to develop the detection skills that are actually important. It's the case of transcribing music. Why a composer would be transcribing music? What a composer would be actually getting something that is just recorded. Because I'm not talking about something that's written, you can just read it, right? I'm talking about something that's recorded. And even if you do have the written music, you decide to transcribe that. Because this is one of the most powerful ways to develop your inner ear, being able to transcribe, right? And when it comes to transcribing, there will be situations that if you're not able to identify intervals or scales or chords, that's going to be super hard. You'll be just trying error until you find what you hear, which is not very efficient, pretty much. Let me tell a quick story. Long time ago, I used to do arrangements, a cappella group type of arrangements, right? 6 voices, 7 voices. And one vocal band that we use as our guinea pig was Take 6. You probably know that. It's amazing, right? Especially if you like jazz. So what I did is transcribing, because there was no available sheet music for their arrangement. So I literally got recordings of them and started transcribing them. In many, many situations, in some points, were very hard to transcribe for different reasons. Sometimes because the mixing was too, mingled all the voice together. It was very hard to pinpoint a particular line, especially if it's in the 10 or 1 or 2. It's pretty mingled there. It's hard to hear separately, right? So recognizing chords is a tool in situations like that. I'll show it to you. Let me first put the clip of Getaway Jordan from Take 6.
2, 3. I wanna cross the Jordan just to see him face to face, 'cause I believe he'll part the waters if I have a little faith. So get.
So I want you to pay attention in this chord.
I wanna cross the Jordan just to see him face to face, 'cause I believe he'll part the waters if I have a.
The first chord is kind of easy to recognize. It's a dominant chord, typical in jazz, which is a dominant chord with a raised 9. That's the bass. Right? The problem happened in a chord moments later, because I could hear the chord as a whole, like an entire chord. It was something like a dominant suspended type of thing. So it was this. I don't have the key here because my MIDI control is short. I could hear this, but when I transcribed, I had 5 voice. I didn't have one of the voice. I heard this for sure, and the soprano one. This was missing, and I could hear it as a color, but it couldn't be confirmed. And then I had to use the chord recognition path, which tells me, okay, I can hear there's a major 9 in this chord. I don't hear it in the chord. I couldn't hear the voice, who actually was singing the major 9. But I heard the color of a dominant suspended chord, which can have a major 9 in the chord. This voice. So I just wrote it. And when I put the notes in terms of the context, what I had before and later, I could see clearly the line. So yes, that's an application of being able to recognize. If I could not recognize this is a dominant suspended chord, I would never see the major 9. That being said, what was the skill? Is being able to recognize a dominant suspended chord. It could happen with different type of chords. It could happen with a chord with an altered bass, or it could happen with a minor chord, which I don't believe major chords exist. We can talk about this someday. Oh, this is a minor chord. Yeah, being able to recognize the color of a chord actually can make a difference. My suggestion to practice this is just forget about these complex names. Oh, this is a dominant chord with a 9 and then raise it. No, go away from this. This doesn't help you in understanding the color. I have my own terminology for the colors of chords. So the color of a minor chord, for example, which you probably are able to recognize this, or a major, is that boom, boom. It's minor or major. It's not big deal. Right? When it comes to dominant chords, you have variations of flavor. They're all dominant, but they have different flavors. So I gave name to the flavors, right? So let's say the most blunt and boring flavor of a dominant chord is when you just have the tritone, right? So something like this. Absolutely ugly, right? But when you start adding stuff to this chord, it starts to get into some interesting colors. So let me show you that. This is a regular dominant chord. I don't even give a special name for this. But when, for example, I have a minor 9, it becomes very dark. It's a dark dominant color. When I have a raised 9, it's shady. It's ambiguous. It's shady. When I have the raised 11, I feel it's spicy. When you have a suspended dominant chord, which is actually debatable, this is really a dominant chord. We will talk about this at some point when we talk about hypertonalism. Is this a dominant chord? I can say there is a 7 here. But where is my tritone? Because this could be understood as a B flat with a 9 in the bass. Because it resolves. I hate this word. Yeah, ugly. Let's assume for a second that this is a dominant chord. I call this the lush dominant. So by listening to different, we can do that yourself, just get your DAW, put different chords there, randomly select a point without looking too much, play it and say, okay, this is a dominant, shady dominant chord. But recognize the colors of these chords. At some point, if you are doing a transcription work, if you're doing arrangement, if you don't have access to the original, and even if you do, if you decide to go by ear, being able to recognize the colors will make a lot of difference. Well, that's it. I love this series. I hope you enjoyed. Of course, there's so much things to talk about, but if there is one thing that I want you to get from this entire series on musical perception is this: memory is everything. As I showed in one of the videos, in the previous videos in the series, memory prevails over intuition. So if you really have something that's not intuitive in terms of harmony, if you give enough time to get used to that, and if you have the proper appreciation background, meaning you hear a lot of stuff outside the tonal world, you will be able to develop your memory to points that everything is possible. Perception is about inner ear. Perception is about being able to use your voice to solidify your inner ear. Perception is about memory. You expand your spectrum of appreciation. Listen to Ligeti, listen to Mahler, listen to Stravinsky, listen to Frank Zappa, listen to Alan Holdsworth. Expand your spectrum of appreciation and develop your inner ear to the point that when you create your own stuff, everything is possible for you. I hope you liked. Stay tuned for the next series. It's about arranging, but not the way you expect, as you probably guessed by now. See you soon. Don't forget, composing is disobeying.